Hi, my name is Nicole, and I'm talking arts and crafts with Bo. That's gonna be the worst. That was just fell.
Hi, I'm Nicole Williford, and I'm talking. I can't do it.
Welcome to KGW's
Yeah.
next
Welcome.
Whoa.
I think you should ask me that in the middle.
Okay.
Just ask me in like your row of questions, and then I'll just do it.
Okay, the mic's on now.
Okay.
I'm
I'm ready to do my introduction.
Really? Okay, let's do your introduction. Go for it.
Okay. My name is Nicole, and I'm talking. I was ready. I was so ready. Okay, I'm just gonna do it right away. I'm so happy. My name's Nicole, and I am talking arts and crafts with Bo.
Yeah, she is.
I'm a visual artist, and I've been painting for my whole life, but more professionally and seriously for the past 5 or 6 years. And I started when I was in undergrad, and in my second year of school, I was introduced to contemporary art for what felt like the first time. And so I realized that people were still making art, and that was an option for me. It wasn't just like a side thing that I did for fun, but I could practice and really improve my craft and what I was trying to say. And so I just jumped in pretty obsessively at that point, and then I just have continued and practiced since then. I remember when I was younger just being more inclined to do art projects than my friends, so they would want to go play outside and I would always end up inside like coloring with their mom while they were doing other stuff. And then as I got older, most of my creative activities were drawing little cartoons of people around me. So I would draw like this kid in my math class wearing his backpack he always wears, and I would like label everything and sort of like, and I would give it to the people that I drew as sort of hi guys, I see you. These are things I notice about you, and it was a way for me to care for people. I think in a simple way. I don't know. It was just like a gift that I like to give people. And I think that still is a really big part of my work now and my process. I spend a lot of time just sitting with people and interviewing them, and then those conversations inform my paintings. And it's really important that people feel seen, both in the process of our conversations and our time together, but also in the finished pieces. So it's fun to see those correlations between these little cartoons I drew for fun that I think were a lot deeper than I would have been able to express back then.
Who was that kid?
Oh, I don't remember. I drew so many people. I've always sort of had two passions or maybe career trajectories. So besides art, I also spend a lot of time in the disabilities field, and I've been doing that for a long time as well. And so a lot of artists figure out a way to make their stuff work financially. So maybe they work a day job, or they just do a lot of different things, or they freelance all the time, and they just figure out what their skill set can do for them professionally and financially. And for me, a lot of that has been doing different caretaking or running clinics or doing behavioral therapy, that kind of field. So it can seem pretty different than my visual art in some ways, but I think a lot of it, again, comes back to being with people and seeing them and supporting them. I think that my caretaking and work in the disabilities field is more about being present with the people who I work with in the moment. And in my visual art, I am present with them intentionally when we're doing our interview or our conversations. And then I do.
Oh yeah. I had to cough.
It's hard. There definitely are connections. It's I'm getting tangled thinking about what it is besides just like watching people. the connections between those two worlds are more subtle, but they both feel extremely genuine and important to me. Things that and compulsive almost, like that I have to do them or else I'm not okay. And yeah, there are some connections having to do just with sitting with people and being interested in stories and helping, but mostly I just intuitively feel that they're important and I enjoy them, so I do both.
Yeah, you do.
I can't recall being treated specifically differently from like clients or peers or professors because I'm a woman, but I feel that I've had to do a lot of internal work to advocate for myself and what I think I deserve, whether it's clear communication from other people or the amount of compensation I need for certain activities, and just asking for what I think I need and not giving room to receive less or to accommodate for other people for no reason. So I think just learning to advocate for myself instead of belittling the value of my work or what I'm doing. And in figurative art, traditionally, that has been for a long time a male-dominated field, and a lot of imagery that is through the male gaze, so pretty like sexualized images of women. And as a woman and an artist and one who makes images of people, it's important to me to not make work that is dishonest or idealizing women, or that's harmful, like reinforces stereotypes that are not true about women or their bodies. And so I actually think because of those dynamics, I err on the side of like making people look, I don't like using ugly and pretty, but I think I err on the side of unidealized images, or being really honest about how tired people look, or painting people who maybe would not be considered stereotypically beautiful in our, like, by Western standards. And I think that a lot of that is a response to seeing so many images, both historically and, Renaissance paintings and all these things, but also contemporary images in magazines and social media, because of being inundated by these ideal, or I think a lot of times sexualized images of women. I have leaned in more to what feels honest and the women who are in my life and what they look like. My online activity, it was a big part of what gave me confidence to keep making art when I first started more seriously practicing and working, because I would, just when I was in college, posting things I was working on, I would get a lot of feedback, and I realized that my work was more interesting than I thought it was by myself. And so I was just motivated to keep making stuff, partly for the pleasure of receiving affirmation and attention, but also just like a really good motivator for me. And I feel like it has gone back and forth, and at times it's not healthy for me, that dynamic of like producing consumable images. But again, consistently it's been just a form of encouragement, and I made a lot of really beautiful connections with people just through online, and a lot of them have turned into real life relationships, which is really fun. And as a business owner, most of my sales are because of social media, so they happen through people that I know or strangers who are connected to me through online. So I have made maybe a handful of sales that have been in person, or because of an organic connection in reality. But most of the money that I make from my work just comes from social media and Facebook and things like that. I think something that has been hard about my creative process as it's been developing, because I've only been really seriously making for 5 or 6 years, but I have these rhythms that I go through when I'm working on projects. So I'll spend a lot of time up front just researching and spending a lot of time sitting with people, learning about things online, just ideas that are curious to me. And then once I feel like I have enough information to form a direction for my project, I'll begin taking photographs and writing a lot more about what I'm thinking or what I want to make. And then I spend a lot of time actually making the work, and that time shifting from the first section to the second phase has been really challenging, because I go from this season where I am really social and I'm connected to my friends and volunteering opportunities and whatever communities I've been interviewing or sitting with, and I go from that to this really isolated state, and I feel insecure that it's confusing to people or that they are hurt by my investment and then my disappearance. But it's just this weird thing that happens where I feel like I have to spend so much time painting and being by myself, and so it's been hard to understand that and to just communicate as much as I can with people around me, that I'm not mad at them or annoyed. Professionally it's a part of where I'm at in my process. And then the last phase, it ends up being just where I share my work, and that is challenging and vulnerable in a lot of different ways. Just sharing work that I've made, especially if I don't feel super stoked about where exactly everything has ended up. So that can be also challenging, but is as well one of the most rewarding parts of the process. It's really important to me to make work and also to share it, because everything that I paint gets this whole new life when you put it on the wall or in a space, and people get to interact with it outside of my control, which is really important to me, and to let other people in on that really isolated time that I've spent. So the second two parts are often challenging. The first one is usually, it can be hard to get people to talk to me, but for the most part it's pretty simple and fun. So
everything, I mean, not to pick yes,
for
word.
people.
I hear you.
The scariest part of my job is loving it so much that it scares me that I won't be able to do it for my whole life, that I'll have to stop at some point. And that was something I had to spend some time thinking about when I first started painting, just because I've always had sort of weak wrists and hands, and I realized all of a sudden that there would probably be a time in my life when I was older, maybe earlier than other people, when I would have to stop, when I couldn't, hold a brush or work in the way that I wanted to be working. And at first that made me not want to paint anymore. I was at the very beginning, right, when I first started working a lot, and it was very exciting, and I was eating and sleeping and painting during that season, and everything was just new, and it scared me because I felt myself sort of falling into this. That's when it first started feeling more compulsive to me, like I would be really uncomfortable if I hadn't painted that day, or it was very strange. And I stopped for a little bit because it scared me that I could be so attached to something that I wouldn't be able to do forever, which seems sort of silly in retrospect, but I do think it makes sense that just in general, that the risk of becoming attached to something, whether it's a practice or a person or a career or whatever. And so I think that is, just honestly what's scariest to me about it is just caring so much. It makes me really excited when people see themselves in new ways. And a lot of people in general, but especially older women who I've painted, are really hesitant to let me photograph them. And they have a hard time looking sometimes at the photographs or like in process paintings I might show them because they don't like what they look like. And I think painting historically and now has an elevating effect. So if you paint somebody, you're putting resources and money and time towards an image of them, and you've chosen them out of all these different people. And so to paint somebody is, I think, to attribute value to them. And I have seen my subjects feel that and sort of reassess the way that they value themselves, because if they're worth the time that I'm putting into them and I'm so captivated by what they look like that I want to spend hours and hours painting these tiny details on their nose or their wrinkles, it can invite them to sort of reassess what they thought about who they are, and specifically their physical appearance. And so I think that has been the most rewarding. And in general, I hope that my paintings challenge people to change their perspectives on just things and people, ideas in general. But the shift of celebrating our physicality as women and as humans, that's been really rewarding for me.
Yes. All the lines, all the wrinkles.
I think my most important tool might be music, actually.
Music? Did you say it? I'm just kidding. It felt like
She paid me to say it. When I think critically, I feel that I could make art without most of my tools. And I think that the one that would be really challenging for me to make work without is music, because I listen to it when I work, and it helps me just get into a really focused state. I do podcasts sometimes, but for the most part, I listen to music, and I sing most of the time while I'm painting.
I know that your favorite song or artist.
My favorite song, original, is about Walker. Waia'u.
Try it again. Keep going.
It's about Waia'u.
It's almost like you're a ventriloquist, like you weren't moving your mouth. I was actually going to say, well, thanks for the plug.
Okay.
I'll pay you later. But
you actually asked.
Your favorite band is Linkin Park, right?
Yeah, I love Linkin Park.
Right, that's what I thought. I was like, you can't get your work done without Linkin Park. There's no way.
He keeps a Linkin party.
Linkin. Give me 30 seconds of your personal self-talk.
Like while I'm painting?
When you're painting, when you're prepping, whenever you're going from those stages you mentioned.
Okay. I'm ready.
Go for it. I probably have heard this self-talk. We both self-talk to each other.
Well, mostly when I'm painting, it goes really intensely back and forth between, oh, this is a good mark. Yeah, you're finally getting it. The paint is doing what you want it to do. Why did you do that one? Now you really messed it up. Now this looks like this other person that you know. Now you have to start over. You need to change it, or you need to remix your paint and clean your palette, because now it's really creepy and they're looking at you in this weird way and their nose is wrong, and you should probably stop painting and do something else that's easier, less narcissistic, and more helpful. Like, I can't think of anything else.
Thanks for giving us a little peek into your mind. That's a very personal question, unless you share your self-talk often.
I think my resume virtues would be tied between some of my earliest shows, when I just started showing at coffee shops and small things, just because it was a really important move to begin sharing my work beyond like close friends or on Instagram. And I think, again, that gave me a lot of confidence and excitement about being a professional artist. And then besides that, I think that my most meaningful or important part on my resume is the solo show that I had almost exactly a year ago that I spent a lot of time working on, and that was the first time that I really invested in each phase of the creative process that I described earlier, and was more aware of it that time around. And it was a more challenging topic and situation, and so it was really important to me to move through that and to do a good job, both formally, like my pieces I was excited about, and also just the process.
It was a really beautiful show.
Thank you. What I would like for people to remember about me is that I never stopped listening. That is very important to me.
It was really weird. I almost mouthed.
Oh, my earring fell out. What a turd. I almost mouthed that. I thought that would be...
Not to be creepy, but I was like, as I asked you, I was asking myself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, probably that I listened. And he said, probably that I never stopped listening. I was like, what the frick? So
It's important.
creepy.
So many people already don't listen now with how old, being a young person, but especially so many old people that I know, they just talk.
Talk a lot. I feel like being heard and believed too, is really valuable. It's hard to feel like you can move on if you feel like no one believes you. You start to feel a little crazy.
This earring's very hard to put in because I can't see the back. Is it going? Okay, can you peek through all my hair? Is it in?
Yeah.
See how like it? Is it in?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's in the hole. Yeah.
I mean, but like.
It's in the little locky thing.
The locky thing. The locky
Yeah,
thing.
it's in the locky.
He says.
Well,
I know. I was gonna say
there's a
don't
hole in
say.
your ear.
Yeah. 1 sec. This is funny looking. It is odd. I'm probably gonna regret this. No. Be there. This is kind of like jokey, but it's not. I take it completely seriously. My first time meeting Nicole. What was it? When did we first meet? Sorry, I'm gonna back this up. This is especially special. Oh, you said especially special.
I like it.
This is especially special. What the fuck?
It really. Oh, maybe this wasn't popped
Maybe it wasn't
in.
popped in. This is especially special. I just put it in my actual ear hole. That was weird. Is it through?
Yeah, it's through.
It's all the way there.
But it's not.
Aha! And our relationship has changed drastically because I met her straight out of grad school.
Her out of grad school.
Me out of grad school as a teacher in the town that she's from. Canby. Town of towns. Canby. And my first, actually I don't know what my first memory is, but a strong memory that I have of her before we started getting connected in ways more than just her being this, I was saying dweeby, but you weren't dweeby. Dweeby just felt like a good word. I like the sound of it.
Yeah, okay.
Before I knew her as like a student in my class, I remember her being around because she had friends or peers who were in the class. And I would bring my guitar to school, and I have a memory of her. This happened often, but she would take it out and she wouldn't sit on any of the chairs. She would sit on the floor with her back against the front wall, like where I would teach from, and just dink around, and I'd be like working on my school stuff or hanging out with some other students at my desk. But I was like, that's a very consistent image. But that's like the only art that I knew that we had in common at that point, apart from her doodles that would be all over.
Sometimes I would sing and write against the whiteboard with my back to you also.
Like you would be facing the whiteboard?
Yeah, like this far away from it.
Yeah, that does feel...
Both
See,
of
that felt
those
really
were, like,
normal.
oh, yeah.
Is that weird?
It's not normal.
None of those things.
It's probably because that was right where the window was.
And you could
people
look at
see
people.
me, like, oh, who's that musician?
Oh my gosh, she plays the guitar. Maybe we should invite her
She's
to the
friends with
talent
Mrs.
show.
Walker.
No, and I was hiding in the corner probably trying to figure out. It didn't feel weird to me, which I feel like says a lot about me. And I was like, oh, I get that. She's hiding, but also wanting to be seen. Very common. But I think apart from her doodles that were always on her work and notebooks, I didn't really know that she was an artist because I feel like there were a lot of people your age that believed themselves to be artists, which all of them can be artists if they want. Yeah. But I didn't know how serious you were taking it because everyone's like, I take an art class. I make sculptures. They give me their sculptures. They're not always very good. I still have some of them. But it was when so I worked on an EP. Please don't go looking for it. It's
well, not the music, but
it's part. No. I was gonna say this is me trying to be gracious with myself When you said your first show, like what stood out to you is like a resume virtue, that even if it wasn't your most developed work, that your first show was a big deal because you committed to it and you said, this is what I'm doing. That's kind of what that EP felt like. I had been doing YouTube for a few years, secretively-ish, and then doing the EP and releasing it in an intentional way was very much admitting, like, I'm trying, and I'm admitting that this matters to me, and then it leaves it open for people for it not to matter to them the same way. But she and another student, Chandler, who worked on the EP art, and that was the first time I was like, man, she's bold. Like, she's just willing to take a project. I respect that.
I had this really good idea where I wanted her hair to be like coming off of her like this and then weaving through all of like the words and the lyric stuff, which is pretty disgusting, honestly. But the drawing it was realistic. I don't know. It was my best drawing so far, but it's pretty creepy. I couldn't get the shading on the teeth right.
The teeth. That's the only part I remember. So I didn't feel any right to be to critique it, because I was just in this mindset of like, do what you can with what you have, financially, resources, skill level. I'm like, this is what I've got. This is what she's got. Let's just do something with what we have, right? And then she shared it with me. I'm like, cool. I'm so glad. Like, remember us doing the formatting?
Really look like that
for copycats, and then the teeth reveal, and I was like. Oh no, my teeth are so ugly.
It's pretty bad. Well,
not your drawing. I literally thought this is what my teeth look like.
Remember when you asked me the things that scare me about being an artist?
Yes.
So the other thing outside of not being able to do it anymore is that I would draw them wrong, and then they would change their perspective on what they looked like. Like I said, but they would do it and think that they looked like the bad, creepy drawing that I did of them. Which a lot of times it looks really bad until like the very end, and it comes together.
Her work is amazing.
So I didn't want you saw the drawing and then you thought my teeth are horrible, which they're not, but the drawing was bad, inaccurate at least. So that is another tricky part.
That is tricky, and I respect it. And
that's why I isolate myself, because people can't see anything in progress.
Oh no! See, I feel like we've had that talk a lot about like how to share. When do you share your stuff to make sure you don't wait till it's perfect? Because can anything ever be perfect? But there must be some sort of incubation time so that it frees you up to do what you want. So you don't feel pressure of me being like, the teeth.
But they look pretty bad, so.
I don't,
You're not, it's not offensive.
No.
They looked bad. I
Did
just
they?
found the drawing in my closet.
Oh. Well, I don't have like a strong.
They just.
also.
The shading is wrong, so they're creepy because they look like they're like. It doesn't look like they're behind your lips. It's like there's a light shining only on this part of your mouth.
Oh, that's such a
really scary.
I think at that point.
Look at it. No, sorry.
I think at that point, he said. I know I got really self-conscious of my teeth when you were wanting to paint the unidealized. I don't think we had talked a whole lot about that at that point. That you were trying to make it realistic, but I think we had talked about that I was wanting whatever it was, the high school one, that from the EP thing. I just wanted it to be me, for better or for worse. Like I said that, and the first time I saw it, I'm like, you have to keep it because you said you wanted it for better or for worse, and if this is what you look like, then
see,
that's what everyone sees.
To me,
that's what everyone sees. But that felt like a really big.
Yeah, you were like a 40-year-old version of yourself.
Virgin.
You're a 40-year-old version of yourself with rabbit teeth.
Those
you
exist.
Don't look like that.
40-year-old virgins. Not yet. That is also true. Anyways, this is really special because I feel like I can attest to, how do I say this? A lot of the people that I get to listen to, I haven't had the luxury of seeing them through a big chunk of their process, and which I can attest to like what they produce now or create and say like, yeah, this is amazing stuff. This is great work. This is powerful. All those things. But what's interesting and special about this is I feel like I've unintentionally. Like I didn't start off being like, I'm gonna watch her,
Yeah, you were my first patron.
and then we're gonna
You were.
watch this whole thing. But getting to just like be on the sidelines, sometimes with her knowing, sometimes just by default us being like creepy. I was just gonna say us doing life side by side together, getting to see it, and it's been. I feel like I've watched her do things that have helped me unlock portions of my creativity, and I'm hoping that it's been mutual along the road at some point. But it's been really. I felt like I plugged that on accident.
No.
But
I think
as I said it, I was turning it quiet because it felt like a plug.
No, I feel like that both of our pursuit of our craft has happened pretty simultaneously, and processing how to use social media and to give ourselves time to finish things and be confident and advocate and advertise for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
When just to
we've done
throw
a
out
lot
things,
of that together, yeah.
and then other
When
times
to
been
get out.
get out like what, the studio?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I don't know
that's
what I was saying.
Like if you'll look over her work and you'll see evidence of finished. Is there a better word than finished?
I say clarified.
Clarified. That's a good one.
Because I don't.
Because finished,
Finished
people are like,
feels
oh, you
impossible.
can't touch it anymore.
Yeah, once I'm like,
I wanna touch
think
it
I'm
still.
done. Yeah, like it's resolved. Resolved. That's the word.
Touch it. No, I'm the one that's saying stuff. I'm like, I just want to touch it still. No, that's how I feel about writing
resolution.
or your paintings.
Yeah.
To say finished.
Or even musically, like a melodic resolution.
Yes. There are things you'll see in her work and mine. You'll go, that seems resolved.
Mm-hmm.
And then there will be other times where you're like, that
It's going somewhere.
it was going somewhere. That's fair. That's really kind. That's in process and intentionally. Like I remember having that conversation with you particularly of like, when is it okay to say, I know that this is not resolved, but I'd like to show you. I feel like a child sometimes being like, look what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like half baked.
Mm-hmm. I made this myself.
I made this myself. It's not done, and I made it with your stuff, Mom. It's for you.
It's made out of your lipstick.
Made out of your lipstick. You turn around.
Did you want to tell the camera how we used to rate you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I used to rate me.
Didn't we talk about that in
gosh.
high school? How we used to rate your outfits.
Oh gosh.
How you look. We don't need to tell the camera.
I don't feel shame.
Well, when I was in her class when I was 16, I sat in the back with some guys I thought were cool, and
She thought they were really cool. I'm just gonna be side commentary, so you tell it.
Okay.
Can I say their names?
Yes. Okay. Can you say their names?
One of them. I feel like I can't say their names
You
because
can
I'm gonna
say.
say.
I mean, they're cool people.
She was an amazing student. I was a really young teacher, not really knowing how to navigate being loving and also being like a fierce Waia'u. Yeah. She was so talkative.
No, but I wasn't at first.
She wasn't at first, and then I strategically assessed her
put me with
character,
the
and I was
loud
like, I'm gonna put her there. So basically, I tried to use her. So maybe this is my fault.
Yeah, I think it is your fault.
I tried to use her. I was like, I feel like I can trust her character. I'm gonna
But
put
then
her
I just
smack
started
dab.
flirting
She
all the
became.
time.
She fell in love with all three of these guys at the same time, and it became an effing nightmare.
So one
Yeah, sorry.
activity that we would do to bond is every morning. I think it was first period. It might have been second. No, it's fine. We would rate Mrs. Walker how she looked on a scale of 1 to 10, and that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, wait.
I think it was a bad thing to do.
I like how I moved you because I trusted your character.
And
I
then
don't know if I
defamed you. I participated.
I don't know if I know this story.
Yeah, maybe I talked it down when I told you.
Do I want to push into it?
I don't really remember very much else.
Was it like what I was wearing?
Yeah, it was usually just dependent on like how much of your figure was revealed.
Oh my god!
not like skin, but like
okay, because that made me
like
sound
a
like super
no,
hoochie mama.
No.
If
you
her
were wearing
boobs
like
were
a
out,
like a boxy button up and
like
saying with
all
the
her buttons
numbers.
are buttoned too,
Yeah.
and her pants are
collars.
loose.
No, I don't remember exactly, but I remember sometimes they would rate you in a way that I was like, oh, we're not just basing this off of like
Style.
fashion choice. Yeah.
If you were
And
just
at
doing
that
style.
that's when I
cool.
stopped doing it as much because I was like, this feels kind of bad.
She's my fellow woman.
Yeah.
I would love. See, this is actually really funny to me. If you could take both of us, current life experience, insert us back into that same environment. Obviously, I mean, this would be for everyone. Like, if you hindsight is so much clearer, but if you could go back, I feel like it would be shocking to the people that I worked with, taught, befriended, to actually hear what I was thinking. Like, to have Nicole sitting back there befriending them, nonetheless, because they were cool people, but then all of a sudden being like,
they're just popular.
I disagree. Or me, maybe not even like adjusting my attire, but I would like literally wear something super inappropriate.
Yeah.
But then confront it.
Yeah.
And walk up and be like, I'm a 10! I can't say this word.
My first memory of you was just when I first started at school, and I could tell that everybody either at least thought very highly of you or had a crush on you because you were a young and beautiful, cool, hip teacher. You don't have to, you can argue, but...
I want to say I appreciate that you added on some other adjectives beyond young. The only thing you had going for you is that you weren't aging.
No, you were just cool. People thought you were cool, and everybody wanted to hang out in your classroom. And
that's interesting. I don't remember feeling like that.
Yeah.
I remember feeling safe around Nicole. Now not so safe, knowing that she was actually rating me.
I know.
I spent a lot of time I just worked a lot.
Yeah.
I'm glad did people feel safe?
Around you, yeah.
That would be like
everybody did.
Safe enough to like prank me, punk me,
yeah,
tease
a little
me.
too comfortable.
A little too comfortable.
But yeah, I think that's a difference in the way you perceive yourself versus how other people see you. Especially, I think, in that season in school.
Yeah. Remember we talked about earlier, just staying busy? Pretty sure that's why I was unaware of a lot of stuff. You're like, how are you doing? What? Great. Still busy.
I'm breathing.
Am I still walking?
I'm breathing.
You just tested.
Yep.
She's dead. She's dead. I touched it and felt nothing.
Yeah. There's nothing here.
I know this is going really long. I don't know how much of it. But that was my first memory. I also have one other memory of when she dyed her hair brown. Do you remember that?
Yeah. In high school?
Did I meet you with brown hair?
Maybe, yeah.
I might have met her with brown hair. And we were talking about, this is so interesting to me because she's moving for work but also for a relationship, and it's really beautiful. And it's also extra beautiful because of the story and everything that's come before it, so that you could be in a place where she's like, I'm relocating. Like, that is huge. Because I remember sitting in front of Starbucks. We were killing time in between school, work, and like maybe youth group. Probably. I slept in Starbucks, guys. It was a rough, weird season. And we're sitting on the hood of my car, and some guy had just professed his love for her. And as he was doing it, she was like, I don't think I like him anymore. And that solidified in my mind. I think it's where I related with her, but also when you see someone else fleshing out similar habits and behaviors, you're like, oh my gosh, this is what it looks like. If anyone, Nicole would go full throttle, and as soon as someone else leapt in with her and was like, you know what, I love you, I adore you, or you're just it, immediately, it wasn't even just like maybe I don't like him. Nicole's mind something was shut off, and just there was nothing. She was like, I don't like him anymore. I'm done. And I remember having that conversation on the hood and going, oh, I get this. Oh no. Because I didn't know how to solve it for you. I'm like, she's just going to have to meet someone where the switch doesn't go, yeah, no. Boring. The pursuit is done. I'll let you say bye. Bye.
Okay.
My name is Nicole Williford, signing out. I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Did you need to snap that many times with both eyes that bounced?
No.
That was cool. Bye. Boom, boom. It was like ping pong with your eyeballs. It was crazy.
Okay, can I do a normal one too?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all. Bye. What are you...
I'm just mending your fence.
Bye.
Does it look good?
Bye.
Does it look good?
Yeah. Bye. I'm just trying to say bye. And I'm okay, bye.
Bye! Everybody! So good.